Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. This is Who Did You Boycott Today? Thank you, folks, for popping in for the broadcast. This is an unexpected broadcast. I thought about it and decided that I need to stop in my tracks and do a welcome back for myself. Since Twitter took the liberty to suspend my account on the 18th of April, I decided to send them another message yesterday before I went to bed, and within an hour, they made my account back active again. After sending them umpteen messages on day 1, 2, and 3, let a few days go by, and something told me I better send them another message. Seeing as how Tommy Sotomayor got his account back active, and I know good and darn well that I'm in no way, form, or fashion in the lead of Tommy Sotomayor and cultivating and Dana and Judge Joe Brown and this pink person, this pink Caucasian named Nicholas J. Fuentes. I believe from my heart that one of those names was the cause of my account being suspended, because I timed it. I keep telling folks that I'm very observant. I don't just be saying that to hear myself talk. I am a very, very observant person. So before I turned into bed the night that I changed my title, I remember doing it. I said to myself, I am going to change my title and put Carmela Anthony's name in the title, and Dana and Judge Joe Brown and Nicholas J. Fuentes. Those were the 4 names that were in my 6 titles before I turned into bed and put my broadcast on pre-recording. So between the time that I posted those broadcasts, which was just before midnight, by the time I woke up in the morning, my account was suspended. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. But something tells me it wasn't a coincidence. Something about one of those 4 names caused my Twitter account to be suspended, because Who Did You Boycott been putting a lot of folks' names in the title, and my Twitter account never got suspended for well over a year. So, with me doing my evaluation and analyzing, that I have went down the laundry list of names that I put in my title, from Elon Musk to Donald Trump to all the other different names of persons. But my Twitter account never got suspended. Why is that? Why is that? Because I would like to know. I would just kind of like to know. But you know what? I really don't give a darn. I really don't give a darn, because it's just a social media platform. It did not stop me from breathing. So unless, short of that, if it don't stop me from breathing, then I'm going to keep on moving. So let me get started here. I just got back from my doctor's appointment. Don't like to go to doctor's appointment, but I made it through it. And so the doctor don't let me know that I got to do a little bit of work on my improving my health. So I'm getting busy with that. I've been kind of like taking it for granted that all that physical activity that I've done kept me in good health. Well, I got to get back on the drawing board. But I also been away for a while during the time that I was away during my suspension, I had a chance to complete another course, so I will be launching a new business in the coming days. Yes, Lord, I am always focus driven with entrepreneur. I believe it's in the blood. It's in the DNA blood of the ancestors and the blood that flows through my body. I still have the good memories of being an entrepreneur at 9 years old and did not know I was an entrepreneur. Well, I learned by the 11th grade in high school that I had been an entrepreneur with my brothers and sisters. Just by accident, I had to do a book report, and I stumbled upon a word called entrepreneur. And then I realized all that time that me and my brothers and sisters were running around collecting bottles and cans and cardboard and selling them, that we had been entrepreneurs. That when we started a candy store at the end of our driveway, that we were an entrepreneur. That my mother set that example. She always was doing something to earn income, and she was well known for her cooking. So I had to work in the kitchen beside her to sell those kitchen dinners many a days. And folks came far and near to get one of those dinners. I didn't quite enjoy the hard work, but I certainly remember those good old folks coming to pick up their plate of dinner, a plate of food. And then, of course, I remember my brother who passed away at 18, and I miss him, and may he rest in peace. That he let his little sister follow behind him when he started his own lawn care business. I had to be about somewhere around 10 years old. And I can remember all the times that I would run behind him when he went to rake a yard or cut a yard. That was long before lawn care was popular. And I sit back now and I hear all the talk about how the Mexicans and the Latinos done took over the lawn care business and the construction business. And then I just think back to my brother. Long before I ever heard of a Mexican or a Latino, my brother was in business as a lawn care person. So, like I said, it's in the blood. So I will be launching a new business in the coming days. I'm working on setting up the chat boxes. I have learned how to build a chat box. I didn't know anything about it 2 days ago, but I had to put on my thinking cap because I'm 62 years old, getting ready to turn 63. And I have to make sure I can put my business on automation as much as humanly possible. So that is what I'm working on. While I was suspended, I was able to get a whole real estate course completed. Real estate is the key. And I can remember when I first retired in 1995, the first business that I wanted to start was in real estate. I mean, I must have ordered 2 or 3 real estate courses. And at that time, I didn't fully understand what I was trying to learn. But that's how life works. Life is about coming full circle. And here I am. At 62 years old, I am back full circle where I started at when I retired from the military. Investing in real estate. That's what the ancestors did when they came out of slavery. They built their own community. They educated themselves. They built their own communities and they educated themselves. So once again, it's in the blood. It's in the blood through and through. So I am returning to the blueprint that the ancestors laid out. And that starts with real estate. So anyone that want to take that course, just hit me up in the back channel and I'll make sure I send you that link. It's not a real hard course. I would do my best to answer any questions that you may have because I'm certainly going through it. I'm learning as I go along. And I can certainly try to help you with any questions that you may have because I am certainly planning on launching this business. Well, it's pretty much already launched. I already have a private email account. I already have a website. I already have the software. I've already completed the course. I am in the process of building my network and putting the pieces in place to start running it. So anyone that may have an interest in taking that course in real estate, then please feel free to send me a DM message. The course only costs, I think I paid $127, and that was only because I added an extra onto it. But the initial course is only $97, but I added on the PDF. And so I can tell you the course is a very, very good course, and it's taught by a person with expert knowledge in the career field. And you can look him up on Google. His name is Dolmar, Dolmar, Cross, Cross. And do your own research and decide if it's something that you want to check out. But like I started to say, it starts with real estate. Not one of us can work to have a productive life if we don't have a place to live, to plant our 2 feet. If we don't have land and a home, there's not very much of a chance of trying to have a productive life. So I am thankful to the good Lord that I still have enough energy to invest some time into this new business. And we certainly have to understand that America broke a contract with the Negro ancestors for the land in Special Field Order 15. That was promised to the Negro ancestors in 1865 in Special Field Order 15, better known as 40 acres and a mule. Most folks know it as 40 acres and a mule, but the Negro ancestors were promised and rewarded Special Field Order 15. That included millions of acres of land that was rescinded by President Andrew Johnson, not Andrew Jackson, but President Andrew Johnson. So, since we know that we cannot start building an infrastructure if we don't have land, so we have to buy land. We have to buy land and buy other assets like a home or other assets that can provide financial security for the collective. Because it's all well and good for a handful or a small percent of wealthy persons with melanin skin to be doing well, to be comfortably financially secure in life. But that don't go very far if it don't include the collective. And since we have a prime example of what the Negro ancestors built, then that's the blueprint to start with. That's the blueprint that each of us can try to learn from. That it starts with the land. And so I am going to invest a lot of time and effort in making my new business a success. But one thing I do know is that I will not fail because I have not failed to try. One thing my mother taught me at a very young age, the only way you can fail in life is that you fail to try. So I have already succeeded because I have already tried. I am in the process of launching that business and putting my complete effort into it. So there is no failure in sight. What I learned, if it's not good enough to get the job done, then maybe someone else can learn from that. So that is what I've been working on since Twitter took the time to suspend my account. But today, I want to ask some questions. I would like to ask some questions of the good folks. I just want to go run over here to Google right quick and do a quick search because I think I looked this up earlier, but give me a couple of minutes here. I'm going to do a quick search and then I'm going to get back to my broadcast screen. Okay. Let me just do a quick copy. All right. I'm having a little trouble with my little... And I'm going to copy this over to my notepad. A little bit about it. So, as you can tell by my title, that I asked the question. Oh, no, I put that on my banner. So on my banner, I asked the question. I'm going to have to sit here and pause my banner right quick and get my little message that I put in the banner and put it over on my notepad. Because I've been thinking about this question for quite a long time. I've been thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it for quite a long time. So, here we go. Why was Camilla seen as a black person and not a human being? Why do the world get away with harming human beings that are born with melanin skin. This harm cannot be passed to the future generation. That's the question for all of us with melanin skin. Melanin skin is spelled MELANIN. That is what each one of us who have brown or dark brown skin or some combination of that. But that does not make you a black person. That is the narrative and the propaganda that has been promulgated for decades and decades. So I tried to go back in my memory and remember what was it like for myself to grow up with brown and dark brown skin. And so I tried to search my memory, and I don't remember growing up thinking of myself as black. I didn't look in the mirror day after day and say, I am a black person. I don't ever remember thinking that. Not one day in my life. And I thank my mother for that. Because my memory is that my mother made it very clear that I was growing up in a very racist, discriminating environment. I remember my mother helping me to understand that as I grew up. But my mother also made it very clear that I'm a human being. Her child was a human being first, before it came to my skin color, that I was born a human being. And that's my clearest memory, that I seen myself as a human being first and foremost. That is what I understood about myself. That my existence and my birthright was not spelled BLACK. No, my Heavenly Father and God birthed me into this world a human being first when I took my first breath. So, knowing that I was birthed into the world a human being and not black, then that is what gives me confidence in myself. That I know that I am a human being and my existence will not be based on my skin color. So I asked the question, why did Camilla Anthony have to be seen as a black person first? Well, Camilla Anthony and many of us are seen as a black person before anything else. We are not recognized as a human being. We are not respected as a human being. And something has to be done about that. Something has to be done about that, because that don't seem fair to me. That don't quite seem fair. Not with all of my 62 years on this earth and the places that I have traveled, that from what I can make sense of, other human beings have that birthright. That in my interaction with other human beings over the 62 years of my life, they are enjoying that birthright. They have a identity. They have a recognized ethnicity. They have a recognized national origin and a recognized nation. They are afforded that birthright. So why do that same thing will not be afforded to me or Camilla Anthony? Why is that the case? Because I am certainly a human being first before anything else. Before anything else on this earth that I do and I say, I am first a human being. Camilla Anthony is first a human being. But society decided a long time ago that persons with brown and dark brown skin or melanin skin were not going to be seen as a human being. So they went about orchestrating a narrative and a propaganda that is still harming all of us today. That is certainly inflicting harm to each one of us every second of the day. Every day that we step out our door or sit in our living room, we have to watch negative images and propaganda about our existence. That our existence is not being described as a human being. That's the most bizarre thing on this earth. That all of these years of hearing other human beings describe a human being with brown and dark brown skin, melanin skin, they refuse to acknowledge and respect that human being, that person as a human being. No, that person over there is just a black person. They just a black person. They just a black person. They're not a human being. They just described as a black person. Well, as far as my understanding, God did not birth any human being in the world into the world, a white person or a black person. That was not done by God. So, human beings came up with two words, white and black, and stamped it into the atmosphere. Around 1840 is my best guess, just before slavery was getting ready to come to an end. They could see the writing on the wall. Those evil, subpar human beings that made another human being a slave decided sometime around 1840 that Negro slavery was getting ready to come to an end. And they wanted to feel superior. They wanted to continue to feel superior, so they came up with two little words. One was white and one was black. And they went about stamping it into the atmosphere, and before long, human beings in society were running around repeating it, including myself. But that is totally unfair. That is totally not a person's birthright. And as adults that we consider ourselves adults, I believe it is some degree of responsibility on each one of us to start correcting that. Because legislation and voting will not be changing that. But each child that is birthed into the world, they deserve to be judged by the content of their character, like MLK said. They don't deserve to be judged by their skin color before they open their mouth. Carmelo Anthony didn't deserve to be judged by his skin color before opening his mouth. So, who do you think that responsibility falls on? Do it fall on the Congress? Do it fall on the Senate? Do it fall on the president? Do it fall on the mother and father? Do it fall on each one of us? That society and America, being one of those societies, decided to come up with a word called BlkAmerican to make up a classification called Black American and African American. When we clearly know that Black American and African American cannot be a ethnicity. It cannot be a birthright, because if it could be a birthright, then somebody coming from Europe cannot land in the airport and suddenly be identified as Black American or African American based on their skin color. So we clearly are intelligent and common sense enough to know that identifying as Black American and African American removes and robs that individual person of their birthright. Because if it was a birthright, I'm going to repeat again, then Tom, Dick, and Harry could not claim it. Somebody coming from Ethiopia could not suddenly claim to be a Black American. Somebody coming from Jamaica could not suddenly claim to be a Black American or African American. Someone coming from Canada with melanin skin could not suddenly become a Black American or African American if that was a true ethnicity or birthright. So we clearly know that that was orchestrated by evil America. It was orchestrated by evil America in 1966. Go look it up on Google. Don't take my word for it. America changed to the classification Black American in 1966. Right at the pivotal moment of when that little fake Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And we cannot leave out MLK making it very clear we coming for the check. So when America heard that you're coming for the check, they decided they wanted to reclassify persons with brown and dark brown skin with melanin skin to the classification Black American and African American. So here we are. Here we are as adults and functioning in America's landmass. We are functioning as a human being first. We are not functioning as a human being based on our skin color. But a lot of folks like to run around and say this word black like it's supposed to magically make unity. Well, that's a delusion. That's a flat out delusion. That no matter how many times you keep on repeating the word black, that will not magically form unity. So, thought process and concern is that every day our child is walking out the door into the environment. Each one of us, adults, mothers and fathers who have a child, that child walks out the door into the environment. And that environment has decided that they want to see your child and my child by their skin color. They don't want to recognize and respect my child or your child as a human being. No, they just want to label them black because they decided that they were going to make up a classification called black, while all these other folks who made up that classification, they get to walk around and stick their chests out and claim their birthright. I'm from Germany. I'm from Ireland. I'm from Europe. I'm from Australia. I'm from Italy. I'm what's that little word? I'm Italian. I'm from Ethiopian. I'm from Jamaica. Now, why is it that all of these other folks who walk around on two legs get respect for their ethnicity, and that their existence is not based solely on their skin color? But Carmelo Anthony, on that unfaithful day, was judged by his skin color. First and foremost, that's how he was judged. Before Carmelo Anthony had a chance to open his mouth and say anything, society has decided that they want to judge myself and Carmelo Anthony based on my skin color. My skin color is not my birthright. My skin color will never be my birthright. The blood that's flowing through my body is my birthright. That's my human being right. That's the birthright that God gave me. And no other human being can take that from me. So I think each one of us adults have got to sit down and do some serious thinking, because we are responsible every time our child walk out that door. And since we want to be so proud of the word black, and we cannot put 24-hour security around our child or ourselves, then something has to be done, or this harm will continue for the next 50, 100 years, because America orchestrated this diabolical plan around 1970. So it's been a little over 50 years. It's been a little over 50 years, and you can go do the research. I have to give credit to Talent, New Negro Republic, who dug up this research back in 2023 in the Negro space. So for all you folks who are doubters, go look up the research. You'll be able to find the paper trail of the research of how America orchestrated the harm when they lumped Negroes under a classification called BlkAmerican and then later African American. Go do the research, because the information is certainly out there. And since the information is out there, is no denying it, that something has to be done. Because each child that walk out the door should not be judged by their skin color. They should be seen as a human being, and that is the responsibility of the mother and father. That was the responsibility of my mother. That's clearly why I can walk out my door, and I know every time I walk out my door, I am a human being first and foremost. Because my mother taught me that growing up in this racist environment called America. I started learning that in knee high when I learned to walk and talk. So I ain't never been confused, not one day in my life, that I do not see myself as black. I see myself as human being, that I was birthed into a bloodline, and that bloodline was Negro. Now, before I get on a rant about that, folks gonna have to sit down and really think about this, because you folks seem very, very proud of this word called black that America made up. And you can run around and claim you made it all your own, and you got your black culture, and you got your black music, and you got your black culture, and you got your black power, and you got your black pride. But all of that don't put 1 ounce of protection on that child when they walk out that door every single day. So you're going to have to decide what is more important. You holding on to something called black culture and black pride or black power, or protecting your child and helping that child to understand, to see themselves as a human being and not identify with a color called black. Because no other human being, all these other human beings, they get to walk around and wrap themselves in white. But that because they benefit from it. And they are never going to give it up. They are probably going to go to their grave before they give up this word called white. That's why I abolished the word white, I abolished the word black, and I abolished the word white supremacy, and I abolished the word hate. See how easy that was? I just simply sat down and made my decision to abolish each of those words, as simple as that. And all I have to do every day I wake up is to stamp it. I don't need the Congress, I don't need the Senate, I don't need the White House. Only person I need is Aqualin. I just stamp it every day I wake up. So folks are going to have to make their decision, because you persons have made a decision that you're very, 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 very proud of this word called BlkAmerican. When you clearly know that BlkAmerican is not a birthright. It's not a bloodline. It's not an ethnicity. It's not a recognized ethnicity. It's not a recognized national origin. It's not a recognized nation. Now, all of these other human beings that walk around on 2 legs every single day, they have each one of those 3 things. So I am certainly not going to deny my child from having those 3 things. I'm not going to tell my child to walk out the door and identify as black, because my child was not born black. My child came out of my stomach the same way I came out of my mother's stomach. And my mother came out of her mother's stomach. And when each one of us were born into the world, I was not born into the world black. I was born into the world a Pacific bloodline. My life and every breath that I take is based on the blood that flows through my body. It's not based on my skin color. It never has been, and it never will be. So I'm not going to continue to inflict self-harm to myself because I love me. I love me like I love Aquilin like no tomorrow. So once I learned the right information, then I only had to make the self-correction because I love myself. I don't have to continue to wake up and walk out the door and identify the way America told me I had to identify. No, God gave me the right to identify as a human being. See how that worked? God gave me the right to identify as a human being. And God gave me the right to identify to the bloodline that I was birthed into. And I certainly was not birthed into a bloodline called BlkAmerican. Because Who Did You Boycott was born in 1962. And America did not go to the classification Black American until 1966. So, where is the confusion at? Because there's got to be a confusion. Because while all of us adults are sitting on these social media platforms day after day, our children are walking out the door into that environment without 24-hour security. Because somebody is going to see them as black and not a human being. They are going to see them as a black nigger. That's the other word that you folks love to death. Y'all love that word nigger. Y'all love that word nigger, and I don't understand it for the sake of my life. More than likely, when those tapes are released about what happened with Camilla Anthony, somebody, more than likely, there's a 50-50 chance that some of those persons at that track meet called Camilla Anthony a nigger. And once again, each one of us adults who love the word black and love the word nigger, you're not around your child 24 hours a day to fight that battle. I am not around my daughter 24 hours a day to fight that battle. That most of us adults, we can navigate it. If we encounter somebody who calls us a nigger or a black nigger, we're going to be able to stand that ground. But that child in public school may not be able to navigate that situation as good as an adult can. But somebody at that public school is going to call them a nigger. And not one of you adults are going to be standing beside that child when that happens. But y'all quite proud of getting on Twitter and all of these social media apps all day long calling each other nigger. You my nigger. You my nigger. You my nigger over there. But I don't see any of you volunteering for the public schools to stand watch over each one of those children when they go to school each day. I don't see any of you standing in line to volunteer to fight that battle at the elementary school. I don't see any of you adults standing in line to fight that battle in middle school. I don't see any of you volunteering to fight that battle at junior high school. I don't see any of you volunteering to fight that battle at high school for each one of those children. But y'all quite proud to run around all day and call each other nigger. So when that child walk out the door, they don't been around adults that constantly say the word nigger. And they are told, oh, it's okay for us to call each other nigger. Just don't let anybody else call you a nigger. Well, that child is going to go into that environment and respond. And they're not going to have an adult standing beside them to help them fight that battle on that day. They're not going to have that adult standing beside them. They are going to respond however they respond when that moment happens. When that subpar human being walks up to them and calls them a nigger. You just a black nigger. And some are going to respond and some may not. And no telling how the outcome can be. But that child is out there in that environment on their own. They are going about their child, being a child, going through their elementary school and middle school and junior high school and high school, and somebody is going to walk up to them and call them nigger at some point. Because the child that have melanin skin has constantly heard other adults say it's okay to call each other nigger. But it's not okay if somebody with melanin skin calls you nigger. And they are somehow supposed to be able to control that. They are just magically are supposed to be able to control that. When we clearly know they cannot control it. But we run around and tell and paint that narrative. We constantly paint that narrative that we have the ability to control billions and billions and billions of human beings around the world and control whether they say the word nigger, when we clearly know we don't have control over it. We clearly know that. But we keep on saying it anyway because we're so proud of it. Because we're so proud of it. When I can't understand why any person with melanin skin would constantly say the word that the slave master coined. And we clearly know they coined it. Did they not? Call me a liar. Can anyone deny that? Any person is going to step forward and deny that slave masters coined the phrase nigger. So if we know that the slave master coined that word nigger, what reason on God's green earth would I have a need to repeat it, to use it, to call any person with brown or dark brown skin or melanin skin nigger? Now, can anyone give me any reason why I would want to call another person that have melanin skin like myself nigger? I would like to know. I would kind of like to know, because folks seem to be so proud of that word, that the slave masters brutally harmed my ancestors. They murdered them. They hung them. They lynched them. They burnt them alive, and they called them nigger. Nigger, you're going to die today. Nigger, you're going to get hung today. Nigger, you're going to get lynched today. Nigger, you're going to get burnt alive. That came out of the mouth of the slave master. So, can someone explain to me why folks in the 21st century with melanin skin want to reincarnate that? Why they want to resurrect it? Can someone explain that? Why in God's name do they want to resurrect the word nigger? Somebody got to have an answer for it, Because you folks seem very, 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 very proud of that word on Twitter. So you must have an answer for it. Because you need to come up with an answer for every child that go to elementary school. You need to come up with an answer for every child that go to middle school, and you need to come up with an answer for every child that go to junior high school, and you need to come up with an answer for every child that go to high school. Because you need to be standing beside them to fight that battle every single day. Some of you need to start volunteering to those public schools to help that child fight that battle. Since you're so proud of that word, since you're so proud of it, and you cannot put 24-hour security around every child with melanin skin, then you're going to have to figure out something. You're going to have to figure out something, because what is going on so far is not working. It's just not working. Y'all going to have to figure out something here. Because persons with melanin skin don't have control over the environment. They do not have control over billions and billions with a B of human beings walking the face of the earth. So my common sense tells me that the most sensible thing to do is to help that child understand that they are a human being first, and it's not based on their skin color. Because I will repeat again, that's exactly what my mother taught me and my brothers and sisters. That's exactly what she hammered into our head. So I have lived my life that way for 62 years. I have lived my life that way for 62 years, that I recognize myself as a human being. And I did not recognize myself as black. So that is the correction that folks need to make. Otherwise, they're going to have to figure out a way to put 24-hour security around a child. Make your pick. The choice is yours. The choice is yours, because you certainly are not going to control billions of people. Now, all of us adults are sitting on these social media platforms day after day. Our children are walking out the door into that environment without 24-hour security. Because somebody is going to see them as black and not a human being. They are going to see them as a black nigger. That's the other word that you folks love to death. Y'all love that word nigger. Y'all love that word nigger, and I don't understand it for the sake of my life. More than likely, when those tapes are released about what happened with Camilla Anthony, somebody, more than likely, there's a 50-50 chance that some of those persons at that track meet called Camilla Anthony a nigger. And once again, each one of us adults who love the word black and love the word nigger, you not around your child 24 hours a day to fight that battle. I am not around my daughter 24 hours a day to fight that battle. That most of us adults, we can navigate it. If we encounter somebody who calls us a nigger or a black nigger, we're going to be able to stand that ground. But that child in public school may not be able to navigate that situation as good as an adult can. But somebody at that public school is going to call them a nigger. And not one of you adults are going to be standing beside that child when that happens. But y'all quite proud of getting on Twitter and all of these social media apps all day long calling each other nigger. You my nigger. You my nigger. You You my nigger over there. But I don't see any of you volunteering for the public schools to stand watch over each one of those children when they go to school each day. I don't see any of you standing in line to volunteer to fight that battle at the elementary school. I don't see any of you adults standing in line to fight that battle in middle school. I don't see any of you volunteering to fight that battle at junior high school. I don't see any of you volunteering to fight that battle at high school for each one of those children. But y'all quite proud to run around all day and call each other nigger. So when that child walk out the door, they don't been around adults that constantly say the word nigger. And they are told, oh, it's okay for us to call each other nigger, just don't let anybody else call you a nigger. Well, that child is going to go into that environment and respond. And they're not going to have an adult standing beside them to help them fight that battle on that day. They're not going to have that adult standing beside them. They are going to respond however they respond when that moment happens. When that subpar human being walks up to them and calls them a nigger. You just a black nigger. And some are going to respond and some may not. And no telling how the outcome can be. But that child is out there in that environment on their own. They are going about their child, being a child, going through their elementary school and middle school and junior high school and high school, and somebody is going to walk up to them and call them nigger at some point. Because the child that have melanin skin has constantly heard other adults say it's okay to call each other nigger. But it's not okay if somebody with melanin skin calls you nigger. And they are somehow supposed to be able to control that. They are just magically are supposed to be able to control that. When we clearly know they cannot control it. But we run around and tell and paint that narrative. We constantly paint that narrative that we have the ability to control billions and billions and billions of human beings around the world and control whether they say the word nigger, when we clearly know we don't have control over it. We clearly know that. But we keep on saying it anyway because we're so proud of it. Because we're so proud of it. When I can't understand why any person with melanin skin would constantly say the word that the slave master coined. And we clearly know they coined it. Did they not? Call me a liar. Can anyone deny that? Any person is going to step forward and deny that slave masters coined the phrase nigger. So if we know that the slave master coined that word nigger, what reason on God's green earth would I have a need to repeat it, to use it, to call any person with brown or dark brown skin or melanin skin nigger? Now, can anyone give me any reason why I would want to call another person that have melanin skin like myself nigger? I would like to know. I would kind of like to know, because folks seem to be so proud of that word, that the slave masters brutally harmed my ancestors. They murdered them. They hung them. They lynched them. They burnt them alive, and they called them nigger. Nigger, you're going to die today. Nigger, you're going to get hung today. Nigger, you're going to get lynched today. Nigger, you're going to get burnt alive. That came out of the mouth of the slave master. So, can someone explain to me why folks in the 21st century with melanin skin want to reincarnate that? Why they want to resurrect it? Can someone explain that? Why in God's name do they want to resurrect the word nigger? Somebody got to have an answer for it. Because you folks seem very, 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 very proud of that word on Twitter. So you must have an answer for it. Because you need to come up with an answer for every child that go to elementary school. You need to come up with an answer for every child that go to middle school. And you need to come up with an answer for every child that go to junior high school. And you need to come up with an answer for every child that go to high school. Because you need to be standing beside them to fight that battle every single day. Some of you need to start volunteering to those public schools to help that child fight that battle. Since you're so proud of that word, since you're so proud of it, and you cannot put 24-hour security around every child with melanin skin, then you're going to have to figure out something. You're going to have to figure out something, because what is going on so far is not working. It's just not working. Y'all going to have to figure out something here. Because persons with melanin skin don't have control over the environment. They do not have control over billions and billions with a B of human beings walking the face of the earth. So my common sense tells me that the most sensible thing to do is to help that child understand that they are a human being first, and it's not based on their skin color. Because I will repeat again, that's exactly what my mother taught me and my brothers and sisters. That's exactly what she hammered into our head. So I have lived my life that way for 62 years. I have lived my life that way for 62 years, that I recognize myself as a human being. And I did not recognize myself as black. So that is the correction that folks need to make. Otherwise, they're going to have to figure out a way to put 24-hour security around a child. Make your pick. The choice is yours. The choice is yours, because you certainly are not going to control billions of people and demand they not use that word. So my common sense again says that the only sensible thing to do is to make it very clear to every human being walking around on two legs that I'm a human being first. And if you don't recognize me as a human being, then I'm going to walk the other way. I'm going to walk the other way and dismiss you as non-existent. See how that works? You see how magically that works? Because human beings don't like rejection. They don't like rejection. None of us like rejection. I don't have to give that person a reaction. I can entertain it. I certainly can. But I can entertain it better by rejecting them. I take great pleasure in doing it. I've been doing it most of my life. I don't know when I started doing it, but I certainly used it in the military. Every single day of my life in the military, I certainly used it. And it worked quite fine. it did. It worked perfectly. So folks can keep running around on social media and their everyday life, convincing themselves that they can control who is going to say nigger, or they can explain, if they choose to do so, it's their own choice. They can explain to their child they don't have to react when somebody that don't have melanin skin call them nigger. They can just turn their back and walk away and dish out rejection to that subpar human being that said the word nigger. And they'll start getting the message over a couple of decades that it's a waste of time. That it's a waste of time, and they got to move on to something else. Because as long as I see myself as a human being, it don't matter how anyone else see me. Because, like I said, all of these other persons get to wake up every single day and get seen as a human being first before they open their mouth. That person from Germany is seen as a human being before they open their mouth and say two words. That person from France is recognized as a human being before they open their mouth and say two words. That person from Europe is recognized as a human being before they open their mouth and say two words. So I certainly am going to afford myself the same thing. And I give myself that right every day that the good Lord give me another day on this earth. So I would just kind of like to know, what do folks plan to do? What do folks plan to do? Folks are running around, still talking about reparations, still talking about reparations and feeding folks false hope. I don't know whether it's a scam, because I'm going to be frankly honest with you folks. I did not learn about reparations until 2020. And initially, I was on board. Initially, I tried to make a critical evaluation of, was it something that was humanly possible? And I said, it's certainly something worth fighting for. But who did you boycott live in reality? I don't make it a practice to lie to myself or to anyone else. So for a short time, I was able to convince myself that the approach that folks were taking made sense, but I can no longer lie to myself that way, because folks clearly know how to do research. From listening to different individuals for 3 years, I have come to that evaluation that each of those persons that I have listened to for the past 3 years, each one of them know how to do research. And I've been asking the question, why are folks not talking about melanin? Persons with brown and dark brown skin don't have a population. Let's all say it together. A population in 25 states out of 50. The population in those 25 states is so small, it's less than 2%. About 3 of them have about 6%. So how do you intend to get the Congress and the Senate to vote for reparations when your population don't exist large enough for the rest of that population to be motivated to vote yes for reparation. So how do you plan to perform that Houdini? Are you planning on inventing a population between now and the next 5 years, the next 10 years, the next 15 years? Somebody needs to answer that question. Because there are 25 states in America that brown and dark brown skinned person population is so small, it's less than 2%. So have anyone contacted the representatives in each of those 25 states to get their perspective about reparation? Is anybody who's running around here claiming to be a reparationist, have they gathered the number count of each of those, as many of those, let's say many, because we certainly won't possibly have the ability to count each one of them. But let's say we're going to make an effort to get a number count of, what is that number count? Is it 200? Is it 1,000 persons? Is it 2,000 persons in those 25 states? What is that population count of persons with brown and dark brown skin? Do anyone have a guess? Because somebody must be guessing if they still running around here feeding folks false hope about reparation. They have already done their homework, and they have gathered the number count. Let's all say it together. A number count in each one of those 25 states that brown and dark brown skinned persons population is so small, is less than 2%. 2%. So somebody over the past 40 years, somebody don't contacted those representatives over the past 40 years, or the past 5 years, or the past 2 years, or the past year. Somebody don't contacted them by email, by phone. Don't somebody know that information? Seeing as how folks get up day after day and open Twitter spaces and talk about reparation, they should be showing some data. They should have some data to back up the words that's coming out of their mouth, or they can stop running around feeding folks false hope and collecting donations and collecting time off of folks' life that they cannot get back by sitting in those Twitter spaces listening for hours and hours and hours and days and days and days, and that's time off of your life that you cannot get back. So somebody should be busy contacting each one of those Congress and senators in each one of those states, and then proceed to the other 25. Somebody needs to have that data on a website, in a Facebook group, a Telegram group, a Discord, a WhatsApp app. Somebody should have been posted that information by now. Don't you think so? Don't you think somebody should have that information at a push of your index finger? You should be able to click on it and go straight to it and read all about it. You should be able to read all about it and share it with your family and your community. But nobody is talking about that. Folks just talking about empty promises. Folks just talking about empty promises, and it's just madness. It's delusional. And so that's why I decided to talk about it on my broadcast today, while I was doing a welcome back for myself. Oh, welcome back. Who did you boycott today? Just welcome back. I won't be here for long because, like I told you, I'm getting ready to launch a business in a couple of days. I have already launched it for the most part. but I'm still putting the pieces together. So I'm going to be quite busy with running that real estate business. I certainly am. I'm still going to be doing some interest in affiliate, but like I told you, I'm constantly evaluating and reevaluating what is the best to invest my time in. And so I have always had an interest in real estate. I just never got the right information to feel comfortable with moving forward with it. Well, I got really lucky and blessed by the good Lord to put myself in contact with somebody who's an expert in it. The person has already won umpteen awards on the Fortune 500. Umpteen awards on the Fortune 500. So that's what Who Did You Boycott is going to be doing, because that's where it begins. You can't get anywhere without land. You need land to plant your 2 feet on. So the ancestors already done laid that blueprint when it came out of Negro slavery. They already laid the blueprint. And so now it just has to be built again. It simply has to be built again. And that is what I hope to try to do, my little part, to get the understanding about this land and owning land. Because all these other folks are quite busy buying up all the land that they stole from the Negro ancestors. They stole it. They stole it from the American Indians and the Native Americans. They just stole it all. They stole the land and they genocide to human beings. And here they are in the 21st century trying to cry victim. Well, it's too late to cry victim because you never was a victim. I'm sorry to break the bad news to you folks. You got blood on your hands. All of you got blood on your hands, and it's no fault of your own. It's really not no fault of your own. But America should have told you when they gave you that Visa card that they were transferring blood onto your hand. They should have done that. That would have been the right thing to do. That would have been the honest thing to do. That would have been the decent thing to do. That America should have explained that by accepting this Visa card, you are being transferred blood on your hands for 246 years of Negro slavery. They should have informed each person that. They should have done that. But they chose not to do it. And now folks are in the 21st century and they got guilt conscious. They got guilt conscious, so now they trying to run around and reshape history and reshape the narrative that they are the most hated. How ironic. How ironic is that? See, America is just a word. Let's all say it together. America was a word made up out of clear blue air. It was made up, and the human beings that made up the society are the ones who orchestrated the evil. They are the ones who orchestrated the mistreatment. They are the ones who orchestrated the hangings for 246 years and more. They are the individual human beings that are responsible with the blood on their hands of lynching a human being for 246 years and up to the present day. They are responsible for the burning of a human being still alive. and burning them to death. So each one of those human beings that are guilty of that crime, they got blood on their hands. And each human being that has spent a penny, a nickel, a dime, a quarter of that money that was made during that 246 years, that blood is on your hands. Now, you could have done the right thing. You could have done the right thing. You could have made it very clear to that person that you like to vote for that they should be paying that debt. But that didn't matter to you. That didn't matter to you. All that mattered to you was voting. All that mattered to you was voting. It didn't matter that America transferred that blood on your hands when they gave you that Visa card. When they told you that America was the land of milk and honey, where do you think the milk and honey came from? Do y'all have a guess? Do anyone have a guess as to where the milk and honey that America promised you came from? Did it drop out the sky? Could it possibly have dropped out the sky? Okay, we clearly know it did not drop out the sky. We clearly know America did not snap their finger and it magically appeared. So, we're down to number 3. It came off the backs of Negroes for 246 years. That's where the money came from. That's where the milk and honey came from. That's where the money came from. That's where the land of milk and honey came from. So, if you spent the money, if you came to America and spent the money, if you came to America and pulled yourself up by your bootstraps and you got paid a paycheck, then you spent the blood money. And you're going to have to own up to that. You're going to have to own up to the fact that you spent the blood money. And so, here we are. But I don't want to get off track too much because I want to make this broadcast very clear that folks going to have to make a hard choice. They're going to have to make some hard choices really quick because the environment that each one of us walk out into, we clearly know it's not safe. We clearly know that our children are going to school every day and they are going to the shopping center and they going to hang out with their friends. They going over to their friend's house and they going out to party and they're not in a safe environment because the environment that they walk out into only see them as black. Only see them as black. They don't see my child or your child as a human being. And America and the whole world has gotten away with that far too long. They have gotten away with it far too long because God did not birth any human being into the world, a white person or a black person. And since we clearly know that, then we need to correct it. We need to start laying the groundwork to correct it now. And hopefully in about 10 or 20 years, that environment will be having a better understanding that a person with melanin skin is a human being just like somebody from Germany, just like somebody from France, just like somebody from Ethiopia, just like somebody from Jamaica, just like somebody from Canada. But seeing as how folks don't drink the Kool-Aid, in America, folks just been having a good old party drinking that Kool-Aid that America fed all of us. That you're going to see yourself as black and you're going to see me as white. You're going to, every day that you wake up, I want you to see yourself as black. And every day that you wake up, you're going to see me as white. But they not being harmed by calling themselves white. I call them pink. They are pink and pale. Because that's the truth. Because if I put a white piece of paper up to their skin is not going to be the same as that white piece of paper. So it makes no sense for me to run around calling them white when I know that's a lie. They are pink, a very, very light pink, or a very, very light pale. But they are nowhere close to white. They are nowhere close to the color of white. So, since America and the whole world decided that persons with melanin skin, MELANIN, were going to be seen as not a human being, but they were going to be seen as a skin color, I think that needs to be corrected. Because God birthed every human being into the world into a Pacific bloodline, and it wasn't spelled white, and it wasn't spelled black. And we clearly know that. We clearly are intelligent enough to know that. So why are we inflicting that self-harm onto our children? Why are we volunteering to do that? It's got to be a reason. Because like I mentioned earlier, Talent, New Negro Republic, dug up the research for all of us, spent time off of his own life and dug it up, and explained it to all of us in 2023. So what is the excuse? Talent, New Negro Republic had totaled up 54 years that America had been harming Negroes for 54 years. Now backdate it. Go ahead and backdate it, and it lands you somewhere around 1970. 1970, and they went to the classification BlkAmerican in 1966. 1966. So go look it up on Google and call me a liar. Try to call me a liar, because the proof is out there. The proof is out there, is documented. So why are persons with melanin skin not helping a child not to see themselves as black? Why? Somebody have to have an answer for that. Because we clearly know that Black American is not an ethnicity. Black American is not a national origin. Black American is not a nation. So what is the purpose of it? Is it all because folks care so much about this word called black culture? Black culture, black power, black music, black pride, is that more important than your child's life every time they walk out the door? Is that more important than your child's life? You folks going to have to make a decision. You're going to have to make a choice. You're going to have to finally make a choice. Because I'm thankful. I'm thankful that my mother did not program me that way. I'm thankful. I am very grateful and thankful that I did not grow up seeing myself as black. I grew up understanding that I was growing up in a racist world, a racist environment, a discriminating environment, an evil environment. But I can't find nowhere in my memory ever thinking of myself as black. thought of myself as a human being because that's what my mother told me. And that's what I knew each time I took a breath. Each time I took a breath, I knew I was a human being. And I was birthed into the world a human being, not based on my skin color. And I clearly know that. So I have made that very clear to my daughter. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and lie to her and tell her to see herself as black. That would be a bald-faced lie. Because my paperwork says Negro. And a lot of folks got a problem with that word Negro. And I clearly understand you folks say the white man came up with the word Negro. The white man came up with the term Negro. The white man came up with the term Negro. I don't give a darn. All I know is that Negroes, that those human beings that walked the face of the earth for 246 years, they identified as Negroes. They lived their life as a Negro. Some of you can say they didn't have a choice in it. That may be so. But that's how they lived their life. And that's how they sacrificed. And that's how they achieved. And they deserve to be recognized for that fact alone. I don't care if you want to make the claim that Negro fell out the sky. I don't care if you want to run around and make the narrative that Portuguese called Negro black and that Spain calls it black. It don't have any bearing. Let's all say it together. It don't have any bearing on the landmass that my 2 feet are planted and my ancestors' 2 feet was planted. Do it. Because as far as I know, the landmass of Portuguese did not get picked up and planted on top of the landmass called America. The landmass in Spain did not get picked up and dropped on the landmass in America. And seeing as that did not happen, it don't have any bearing whatsoever. What matters to me is that those human beings that identified as Negro, more than likely, the last word they heard was Negro before they took their last breath. And seeing as how I know that was the case, more than likely, I don't give a darn about this narrative that you folks like to run around and plant and plant. Y'all shape a narrative every which way but loose. But not one of you, and not I, did not walk in the shoes of those individual human beings that had to live day in and day out, identified as Negro. And seeing as how you did not walk in their shoes, I don't think you have a right to speak on it. I don't think you have a right to speak on it because you certainly didn't step into their shoes and walk in them and breathe for them. So, since you did not do that, then you have nothing to say about the ethnic term Negro, because it's a ethnic term Negro. It's a recognized ethnicity. It's a recognized nation, and it's a recognized birthright. And for all you folks, I don't really give a darn. All I care about is the blood that flows through the body. I care about the blood that flows through the body. Because that's where the power lies. The power don't lie with your skin color. For some odd reason, folks been convinced of that. No, God gave each one of us power, and it was the blood that flowed through our body. God didn't give us power based on our skin color. Our greatest gift and our greatest power is the blood that flows through our body, not our skin color. See how that works? The enemy know that. The enemy know that. That's why they want you to see yourself as black. And that's why they want you to see them as white. Because if you ever make that correction and identify with the blood that's flowing through your body that God birthed you into the world, into that bloodline, they know the battle that they have been fighting, that you have defeated them at the beginning. Because that's your power. That's your gift. That's the greatest gift that each one of us was given from God. Not the color of our skin. Not the color of our skin. No, it's the blood that keeps each one of us alive. And the enemy know that. That's why they run around the world invading. That's why they run around the world invading other nations. Because they know it's the blood. It's the blood that's your power lies. It's not in your skin color. That was all for their benefit. They orchestrated that classification. They said, we're going to convince the whole world to look at each other by their skin color. Because if they ever figure out that their greatest power is their blood, it's going to be a game changer. It's going to be all over and done with. But if we manage to convince them to see each other by their skin color, then we will always be in control. Because God birthed each one of us into a specific bloodline for a reason. For a very specific reason. And I clearly don't know what it is. But I clearly know that God did not want each one of us to wake up and see each other by our skin color. That was orchestrated by evil. That was orchestrated by evil. And each one of us adults have to make every effort to correct it. Because it's clearly unfair for Camilla Anthony and myself and you to have to walk out our door every single day and be judged by our skin color and not by the content of our character. Not by the God-given abilities and skills and talent that God birthed us with. That's how God wanted each one of us to be judged. Because God gave each one of us a bloodline. God gave each one of us skills and talent to be productive human beings. That's a fact. That's a fact as clear as the nose on your face and the nose on my face. God did not birth me into this world to be recognized by my skin color. Because all these other human beings get to run around here and be respected and recognized by the blood that's flowing through their body. If they can walk around on two legs and get that respect, I am entitled to that same respect. And I make sure that I identify and recognize and respect myself in that way. I don't have to wait on anyone else. I don't have to wait on Tom, Dick, and Harry. I only have to recognize it myself. And I've been doing a good job of that for 62 years. I've been doing a good job of it for 62 years. And I'm getting ready to turn 63 on the 29th. If the good Lord keep me here. If the good Lord keep me here, I will be blessed to turn 63. But ain't no human being is going to convince me to see myself by my skin color. And so, us adults got to sit down and do some soul searching. Because clearly, we have to make correction. Folks got to figure out what bloodline they belong to. If they don't want to identify as a Negro, that's their personal choice. But each one of us have blood flowing through our body, and each bloodline has an origin. It didn't just drop out the sky. It didn't just drop out the sky. Every German has an origin. They have a national origin, they have a nation, they have a bloodline, they have an ethnicity. Every Ethiopian has a recognized national origin, a recognized nation, a recognized ethnicity, a recognized birthright. Excuse me. That was a gift from God. Every person coming from Canada has a recognized national origin, a recognized ethnicity, a recognized nation, a recognized birthright. And Camilla Anthony and myself and my daughter deserve the same thing. I deserve that. Camilla Anthony deserved that. My daughter deserved that. And no one is going to take that from me. So for you folks, you're going to have to do that blood test, I guess. You're going to have to do that family tree search. Because God did not birth any human being into the world white or black. And we need to stop this madness. We need to stop it. Because it's harming, it has already harmed all of us for the past 54 years. Let's count it. 54 years. Do we want the next generation to be harmed for the next 50 or 100 years? Because that child that's birthed into the world, they deserve to be judged by their character, not by their skin color before they open their mouth. They don't deserve that. They don't deserve each one of us adults to pass that down to them. We don't have to pass that down to them. We may not be able to stop the rest of the world for wanting to think that way, but we control how we see ourselves. We control how we explain to our child how to see themselves. And God gave each one of us the right to see ourselves as a human being and not based on our skin color. That's the first most important thing. With every breath that baby takes, that baby deserves that. That baby deserves to grow up knowing that they are a human being and they were born into a Pacific bloodline. A Pacific bloodline, and it wasn't spelled black. It was not spelled black. And we need to stop causing that harm to each other. We may not be able to control America. We may not be able to control the oligarchy. We may not be able to control the corporations. We may not be able to control the BlackRocks. We may not be able to control the Rockefellers. We may not be able to control the cartel. But we control how we see ourselves. They can put in print anything they please. But if each human being make it very clear that it don't matter how you see myself. The Congress and the Senate and the President and the Vice President can put in writing how they see me. I control how I see myself. and God do. God and myself control that. No other human being on this earth controls that. I don't care what they put into law. I don't care what they write into law. No, God controls that. Not one of us human beings control that. That is controlled by God. See how that works? You see how that works? America don't get to just make up a classification called BlkAmerican and African American and stamp it into existence. America may think they can do that, but they're not God. America's not God. So America can make the correction, or each human being can make their own self-correction. And I have made it clear to myself that I'm a human being. And I was born into a Pacific bloodline. A Pacific bloodline that flows through my body. And since of America's evil, I don't have the ability to trace my bloodline back to its origin. So I'm going to choose to trace it back to my ancestor on this landmass. On this landmass called America. I'm going to choose to stop there. Unless I can have verified proof of evidence that I can trace it to an origin. And seeing as how I can't, seeing as how I cannot do that, I am certainly not going to call myself black. I am certainly not going to call myself African American. I am certainly not going to call myself Freeman. I am certainly not going to call myself ADOS. I am certainly not going to call myself FBA. I'm going to honor my ancestors who had to live their life identifying as Negro. But for those of you who don't trace back to one of those Negroes, go find your family tree. But you're not black. You're never going to be black. You're never going to be black as long as this earth is in existence. That's a made-up thing. You're never going to be black. And these pink people they never were white, and they are never going to be white. They never were white, and they never going to be white. And that baby that's birthed into the world don't deserve to be judged by their skin color. That baby deserves to be judged by the content of their character, the content of their character, however that environment and that mother and father shaped that child's character, that is that child's birthright. That child is birthed into the world with God-given abilities and God-given skills and God-given talent. And that is the way that child deserves to be judged. Not by their skin color. And pray to God, when they release that tape in Texas, pray to God there's no folks on there calling Camilla Anthony Nigger. Let's pray to God that that's not the case. But we all know it's a 50-50 chance that's what's going to be heard. Because you folks just have ran around here and adopted the slave master word, nigger. Y'all call each other nigger all day long, 24/7. Nigger, you my nigger. Okay, nigger. Y'all constantly say it. So, I don't know what make you do it. I don't have a clue as to what make you do it. But I need to let you know You need to take some of that blame or responsibility for that child when they go to elementary school each day. Each one of you adults who are so proud of the word nigger, I think you're going to have to step forward and claim some of the responsibility for that child in elementary school when they get called nigger. You're going to have to step forward and claim some of the responsibility for that child in middle school when they get called nigger. You adults are going to have to step forward and claim some of that responsibility when that child in junior high school get called nigger. You're going to have to step forward and claim some of that responsibility when that child go to high school and get called nigger. When they go to the shopping center, when they go visit their friends, you're going to have to step forward and claim some of the responsibility since you don't have the ability to put 24-hour security around your child. And since you don't have the ability to stop anyone who don't have melanin skin from saying the word nigger, then don't it make more sense for that child to understand they are a human being and they were born into a Pacific bloodline that wasn't spelled black? Don't you think that make more sense? It make more sense to me. It make clearly sense to me because that's the way my mother taught me. That's clearly what she hammered into my head and my brothers and sisters. I can't tell you anything else but that, because that's exactly what my mother hammered into my head. I cannot ever remember growing up thinking I was black. I see myself as a human being. And based on the history of the stolen history